Okay guys, to start off the look, I'm priming my eyes with MAC Pro Longwear Paint Pot in Soft Ochre to prevent my eyeshadow from creasing, and I also have already done my eyebrows. To start off, I'm using the Too Faced Chocolate Bar palette, and I'm going to set my eyeshadow primer with a matte white eyeshadow. It doesn't have to be anything special, but I wanted to set this so the primer doesn't crease, and it will help us to blend easier. Still taking the Too Faced Chocolate Bar palette, I'm getting Salted Caramel on a Japanese number 835 blending crease brush, and I'm focusing this color in the crease as a transition. I'm really exaggerating and focusing the color in the hollow of my crease. I do have hooded eyes, so I'm actually kind of focusing that in the fold of my crease. So I'm just looking straight ahead and focusing it in my crease. You do want to be precise because this is a cut crease, so you want to try to make the blending motions as small as possible because we want to be precise. And when I was blending, I also did wing out the crease color that I'm applying. I want the cut crease to be winged out, so I'm just kind of creating a template for when I apply my darker shades. I will know where I want my winged shadow to be, so I just kind of smoked out that color, and I'm doing the same thing on the other eye, obviously, just really focusing in the hollow of my crease, trying to be as precise as possible. I'm going to take the Anastasia Beverly Hills Modern Renaissance palette. Guys, I've been obsessed with this palette. I use it all the time, so I'm really excited to feature this in this tutorial. So I'm going to go in with Burnt Orange, and I'm going to use the brush that actually came with the palette, and I'm going to do the same thing as I did with our first transition shade. I'm going to focus this in the hollow of my crease, or just underneath the fold of it. So this blending crease brush from the palette actually makes really precise lines, so I really like this brush, and it's like perfect for this look that I was going for. So as you can see, I'm really just exaggerating that color, making sure it's blended, and making sure that I get a precise line, and I also winged it out as well. I did build up the color a little bit, so when I was blending it in the crease, it would start to make that defined line that we want in our cut crease. So I did build it up a little bit, but made sure I didn't do it overload. So we're going to take a warm taupe. Whoa, excuse me. We're going to take I'm sorry. I'm going to do the same thing, and I'm using the same Anastasia Beverly Hills brush that came with the palette. I'm focusing this in the crease, trying to exaggerate and build up the color just a bit to get that defined line. But I'm really just going back and forth, making sure that it is all blended, because even though it is a cut crease, we want it to be blended. But I'm making sure that I'm just being very clean in my blending motions, because you don't want to go below, because even though we're going to clean it up with concealer, you still want to make it as clean as possible. Okay, so now it's time for warm taupe, and I'm still using the Anastasia brush that came with the palette. Now, I'm actually going to focus this color more on the outer part of the line that we've drawn, but I am going to blend it out throughout the crease, but I am just going to focus it more on that outer part of the crease. So I really like this shade. It warmed it up a bit, and it's just a beautiful shade. Now I'm going to take Cypress Umber, and I'm still using the Anastasia brush. I'm using the fluffy side, and I'm going to focus this on the outer part, just like I did the warm taupe, but I still am going to blend it out throughout the crease, but really focus on the outer part. Be careful, don't grab too much product. This shadow, like all the other shadows in the palette, are super pigmented, so be careful with this. I made sure that I grabbed a small amount of product at a time. So, as you can see, I'm focusing it on the outer part of the crease line that we have drawn, but I'm still going to blend it out throughout the crease, but I'm just really exaggerating and building up that color in the outer crease, making sure it's really defined. I'm going to go back in with Real Gar, And what I'm going to do is blend out the brown shade that we applied. Now make sure when you're blending this, you don't want to blend below the line that we've drawn, but you want to blend above. This will actually keep our defined line very clean, and it won't mess up the line that we've drawn, and it won't take as much work when we clean it up with concealer. So I am using the fluffy side of the Anastasia brush that came with the palette, like I have been. And I'm just really running this through the crease, making sure it's blended and everything is just very blended and looking nice and that there are no harsh lines. So now I'm taking some concealer on a flat concealer brush and I'm going to cut the crease. So I'm just basically cleaning up and giving the crease a very sharp defined line, which is going to give that cut crease effect. So I did bring up the concealer a little bit higher and it took away some of the thickness of the eyeshadow in the crease, so it made it look more like a cut crease. And I also did clean up the wing of our eyeshadow, so it did take me quite a few minutes to perfect it, just to make sure I had a perfect crisp line. So it may take some time. I went up to a magnifying mirror and just kind of went back and forth between a regular mirror and a magnifying mirror just to make sure everything looked right and I could get it as perfect as possible. So make sure you do clean up the wing of your eyeshadow. That really makes a difference. So as you can see, it really looks more clean and really like a cut crease. So I'm just really making sure that that's clean. So that's basically it. Like I said, it did take me a few minutes to clean it up, but in the end, you really get more of a cut crease effect than you did in the beginning. Also, be sure you grab little amounts of concealer at a time. You don't want it to crease and just have an overload of product, but I also did tap in the concealer just to make sure that I didn't have any extra product sitting there, and when I opened my eyes, the cut crease would basically be ruined because the concealer would crease. So I really made sure I tapped that in, and make sure you grab little products at a time to prevent that issue. So I'm doing the same thing on the eye. As you can see, I'm cleaning up the wing of that eyeshadow. I'm really bringing up the concealer until I get a thin line, so I get more of a cut crease effect and it's not so thick. So I'm taking Cypress Umber from the Anastasia Modern Renaissance palette, and I'm grabbing that on a Japanesque angled brow brush, and what I'm going to do is redefine that dark brown eyeshadow. So I'm just going right above the area where we cut the crease. So this is going to give the crease a little bit more definition, and I feel like I needed a little bit more brown in there, so this gave the crease a little bit extra definition. So I went right above where we cut the crease, right along that line between the eyeshadow and the concealer. Then I set the concealer on my eyelids with a matte white eyeshadow just to prevent any concealer from possibly creasing. So now it's the fun part, glitter. So I'm using NYX Face Embodying Glitter in the shade Gold, and I'm going to pack this on the lid. So what I did is I grabbed a flat shader, sprayed it with MAC Fix Plus, packed some glitter on, and then sprayed it with MAC Fix Plus again to help the glitter really pack on the brush and pack on my lids. Now, flat shaders are very easy to control usually, so I still was careful with making sure I didn't mess up the actual cut crease, but as you can see, they match up and just fit perfectly next to the cut crease without actually messing it up. So it was very easy to apply the glitter. I thought the glitter really added some glam. I'm taking the Modern Renaissance palette again and grabbing Cypress Umber, and I'm going to take that shade on a angled brow brush, and I'm just going to redefine that line again. Now that we applied the glitter, I just want to make sure that we haven't lost any pigment from that dark brown. So I'm just reapplying that right up next to the glitter. So I'm going to go in with Cypress Umber and a small, tiny smudger brush, and what I'm going to do is from the line up, I'm just going to flick up that brown so it's not just a line, but that there is a nice blending gradient effect on it, and it's not just a line, but it's very gradient. So I just flicked it up in tiny little movements. Please make sure that you do not grab a big amount of product because, like I said, all the shades are so pigmented, so you just need a little bit. So I am going to grab Burnt Orange and Realgar, a little bit of a mix, and I'm going to blend those shades out using a small smudger brush. I just wanted to make sure that the brown and the oranges really blended together nicely because it is such a nice pair, and browns and warm tones, oranges shades, they just always sit so beautifully next to each other. So I wanted to make sure they were blended thoroughly. Now it is time for eyeliner. I'm using NYX Studio Liquid Liner in black, and I am going to do a wing liner today. I feel like those always pair well with cut creases, especially this one where I winged out the shadow. So I'm just going to generally, basically line my lids, and it's pretty simple. I start from the mid lid and then finish the line out on the outer lid, and then I'll connect it in the inner corner. So then I'm just going to draw my guideline for my wing. So I'll just draw a small line and then I'll connect it down to the liner that I drew on my lash line. I mean, I feel like sometimes cut creases look a little odd when you're in the process of them, but once you have the wing liner, girl, you are ready to go. It is like the wing liner pulls it all together so well. So I'm doing the same thing on the other eye. I started in the inner corner on this eye actually, and I just drew a line across onto the outer lid. So I'm also doing a wing on this, obviously, so I just did the same thing. I drew a guideline that connected it down to the eyeliner that I applied on my eyelids. For false lashes, I'm using LA Colors Dermatolash in the style Delightful. These are my favorite lashes. I love them so much. I recently discovered them, and guys, I got them at the dollar store. They were only $1. Yeah, like I was in the dollar store doing something else, and then of course I went to the makeup to see what was going on, and I found these lashes. I was like, only $1. Okay, I gotta try these. So I mean, long story short, they are my favorite lashes ever. They blend so well with my natural lashes, and they're just so wispy and natural. I love them so much, and they're not too dramatic. They just add the perfect amount of glam without taking away any attention from the eyeshadow look. So be sure to wipe away any fallout and the extra glitter that fell on our face because we don't want that mixing in with our foundation. So to prime my face for foundation, I use the Rimmel Stay Matte Primer to keep my face matte throughout the day and my foundation in place. And for foundation, I'm using L'Oreal Infallible Pro Glow Foundation, and excuse my dirty beauty blender, it needs to be cleaned. So obviously I'm just going to apply this to my face so I can have an even skin tone. I really like blending my foundation out with the Beauty Blender. I tried brushes, but Beauty Blender just tops them all in my opinion. So I'm just blending this out using dabbing motions to give an airbrushed effect to my skin, and I just love this foundation. It's really glowy and it just gives your skin a really healthy glowy finish, so I really like it. And I actually have a first impressions and review on this foundation, which I will link below if you're interested in watching it. For concealer today, I'm using CoverGirl Ready Set Gorgeous Concealer in Fair, and I'm going to apply this under my eyes to cover up any dark areas and to give me a good under eye highlight. I love this concealer. It's a really good drugstore concealer. So it's also a really good highlighting concealer. So I really like this. So I'm just going to apply that under my eyes, on the tip of my nose, and my chin for a little bit of highlighting. And I'm going to blend that out with a damp beauty blender, and I'm also using dabbing motions to blend that all out. So I'm going to set my concealer, and I'm using the NYX HD Studio Photogenic Finishing Powder, and I'm just going to sweep this under my eyes and wherever I applied concealer just to make sure that it stays in place and that it doesn't crease. This is a translucent powder, by the way. Oh, it stinks. Oh my gosh, but we're going to get through it because we don't want our concealer creasing. That's what we do for non-creaseless concealer, okay? So for contouring, I'm using Physicians Formula Butter Bronzer, which has been my favorite all-time bronzer, and I'm blending that out with a BH Cosmetics number 113 angled face brush, and I'm just going to do this to give a little bit of definition to my cheeks, give a little bit dimension to my face, and just give me a sun-kissed effect to my skin because I'm really pale. I've like gotten no sun for the summer. Now it's time to highlight. I'm using the Anastasia Beverly Hills Glow Kit in Gleam, and I'm using Crushed Pearl, my all-time favorite highlighting shade. It has been like my favorite highlighting shade for so long, but I'm going to apply a little bit of highlight with the EcoTools Deluxe Fan Brush, and I'm just kidding. I don't apply a little highlight. I apply a lot pack that highlighter on because I like a full out glow no matter what time of the year, no matter what or where I'm going, what event. I like a full on highlight because it's how I do. Okay, for blush, we're using Milani's Powder Blush in Romantic Rose, pretty like mauve-y, dusty rose blush. And I'm going to apply this with the Real Techniques Tapered Blush Brush. And I'm just going to apply a little bit to give some color to my cheeks because I will look like a ghost otherwise, so we gotta have some blush on. Now I'm going to curl my lashes. I want my natural lashes and the false lashes to blend together so they look more natural. So I'm just going to curl them to make sure that they blend together really nicely. And I'm going to apply a few coats of L'Oreal's Telescopic Mascara in Carbon Black. My lips, I wanted to apply something neutral so the attention would be kept on the eyes, so I'm using NYX Intense Butter Gloss in Cookie Butter. I love this shade because it's such a universal neutral color that goes with about every eye look. So that is it to complete the look. I really hope you guys enjoyed. I hope you have an amazing day. My Snapchat and Instagram usernames will be listed on the screen towards the end of the video, so I really hope you guys enjoyed. Please don't forget to comment down any video requests you may have. So I will see you guys later, and I hope you have a fabulous day. Bye, guys.